Joining us now is Ojineka, Genix, Okpe, with stories trending around the world. Hello, Genix.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm okay. Good morning, Tundu Abiola.
So good to have you back, OG.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Rufai.
OG, it is well.
Well, all right. Good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe.
In the United States, for the first time in 60 years of manned spaceflight, a rocket blasted into orbit on Wednesday night with no professional astronauts on board on SpaceX's first private flight, led by 38-year-old entrepreneur Jared Isaacman. Isaacman took 2 sweepstakes winners on the 3-day round-the-world trip, along with a healthcare worker who survived childhood cancer. And Time magazine has released the full roster of honorees that made the world's most influential people's list of 2021. On Wednesday, September 15th, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle made the list on a day that also marked Prince Harry's 37th birthday. While Nigeria's Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who became the first woman and first African to head the World Trade Organization in March, also made the list in the leaders category, alongside U.S. President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, China's President Xi Jinping, and Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India. In the United Kingdom, TV host Piers Morgan on Wednesday took an aim at ICE's bride SHAMIMA BEGUM after she appeared on Good Morning Britain in her first ever live TV interview to beg the British people to forgive her for making a mistake, insisting that she thought ISIS was an Islamic community and not a terror group. Taken to Twitter, Piers Morgan lashed out at Begum, saying she should be left to rot in the terror bed she made for herself. Under sports, 4-time Olympic gold medalist and 5-time world gymnastics champion Simone Biles accused federal law enforcement and gymnastics officials in a forceful testimony to Congress on Wednesday of turning a blind eye to the USA gymnastics team doctor Larry Nassar's sexual abuse of her and hundreds of other women.
To be clear, I blame Larry Nassar, and I also blame an entire system that enabled and perpetrated his abuse. USA Gymnastics and the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee knew that I was abused by their official team doctor long before I was ever made aware of their knowledge.
Finally, under entertainment, Nigeria's Grammy Award-winning superstar, Ayodeji Ibrahim Balogun, popularly known as Wizkid, was crowned the King of Afro-Pop in the latest edition of America's GQ magazine for the month of October. Photos of the superstar posing in multi-locations and on a superimposed airplane tops the trend.
Well, let's begin what's trending with reactions trailing the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila's comment, which compared those agitating for secession to Boko Haram insurgents and ISWAP terrorists. The Speaker made the comment on Wednesday in his address to welcome members of the House back from their 9 weeks recess. In his address, the Speaker said the refusal of the separatist movements in the southern part of the country to accommodate in dissenting opinions makes them the same as terrorists. Well, let's take a quick listen before we come back for a discussion.
In the south of Nigeria, east and west, miscreants and criminals masquerading as separationist activists have emerged to wreak havoc, take lives, and commit economic sabotage against fellow Nigerians and against the state. These people, in their inclination for devastating violence against fellow citizens, their appetite for the destruction of private property, their disruption of academic activities, commerce, and industry, their propensity for defiling institutions of the state, society, and community, their refusal to engage in debate or to consider the possibility of dissenting opinions and alternative viewpoints are no different from Boko Haram and ISWAP. Given space and time, they will take our nation down the same path of destruction.
Well, in the meantime, the presidency, while reacting to Tuesday's agitation protest by a group known as Nigerian Indigenous Nationalist Alliance for Self-Determination at the United Nations headquarters in New York, says the cooperation between Yoruba nation agitators and the indigenous people of Biafra is shocking and a worrying development. The presidential spokesperson on media and publicity, Gbajabiamila, said the Yoruba nation agitators may not be taken seriously as a result of his association with IPOB, because IPOB is a designated terrorist organization. Dr. Bati, over to you for your analysis on both stories.
Well, okay, two reactions. Yes, one from the Speaker of the House of Representatives and the one from the presidency by Gbajabiamila with regard to the demonstrations that we had at the United Nations General Assembly by the group that you refer to, NINAS,
yes,
led by Professor Banji Akintoye. Professor Banji Akintoye is the leader of Ilana Omo Yoruba, and that group is a self-determination group, you know, and Sunday Igboho is also a member of that group. So the allegation from both the presidency and the Speaker of the House of Representatives is that, look, the Yoruba nation agitators aligning themselves with IPOB, you know, are no different from Boko Haram and terrorists. So he jumped to that conclusion that all of them are terrorists. Well, I don't know whether the Speaker of the House of Representatives was just talking politics or he has concrete proof. However, there's been a response from Professor Banji Akintoye responding to both the Speaker of the House of Representatives and the presidency to say, no, this was not an IPOB event. It is, you know, a planned 1 million man freedom march that they intend to sustain between September 14 and September 24 to draw attention of the global community to issues of inequality, marginalization, and injustice in Nigeria, and to see whether, in fact, the National Assembly could be persuaded to support a referendum on the status of Nigeria. So, well, I mean, I don't expect that the Speaker of the House of Representatives, even if he may be exaggerating about the connections, to say that any group at all that is agitating for a nation out of Nigeria, you know, should be encouraged. Well, another thing that came up there is that the Speaker of the House of Reps, who has become very vocal currently, you know, in the last few weeks, before now he was media shy, he was quite reticent. But he has granted at least one major interview in which he said he was not interested in the governorship of Lagos State. Now, less than a week later, he's in the news again. So probably he's also on a media offensive. But what I find even more curious, apart from his unsubstantiated claims about, you know, the groups not being different from Boko Haram, is his, you know, statement about journalists. What he was, I think he used a particular word about unsecured journalism, or is it or diluted journalism, and saying that journalists, you know, should support government and not be focusing on,
yes, he said that,
you know, stories related to terrorism and all of that. Well, this is the punishment we face, you know, the embarrassment we face on this job. Everybody is a journalism teacher. You know, nobody teaches medical doctors how to do their job. They don't teach lawyers how to do their job. Well, when it comes to journalists, everybody has an opinion about how you can do the job. You know, just because maybe they read some story on social media, or they had an old uncle who used to be a newspaper vendor. I would like to advise the Speaker and the other members of the House of Representatives, now that they have returned from a nine-week recess, to focus on major issues of concern in Nigeria, of development. Gbajabiamila was accusing journalists of measuring the performance of lawmakers in terms of the bills that they are able to sponsor. Yes, that's how it is done in other parts of the world. And even if you don't sponsor bills in other parts of the world, they assess the quality of your contribution and how you stand on the big issues of the day. What we are saying to these lawmakers is that we cannot afford, you know, a National Assembly where half of the Assembly, or a significant number, will go there to play possum, sleeping, or going to toilet when major issues are supposed to be discussed. This is the point we're making, and nobody can gag us in that regard. We want lawmakers to justify their presence in that assembly. So the problem is not with journalism. It's about the National Assembly focusing on the key issues of the day, and some of those issues were issues that were raised by those protesters. Their characterization is completely beside the point. What are they saying?
Right.
Is anybody listening to them?
Yeah.
That, for me, is the issue.
Tundu, what is your take on Femi Gbajabiamila's comparison with secessionists and terrorists?
What I heard him say, he was referring to the thin end of the wedge, which is a problem we've had in this country across the board. How an incident or an issue can start off small and end up snowballing into a huge crisis. However, I would have appreciated some nuance in his comments. Cast your mind back, well, before we were born, pre-independence. Somebody like Anthony Anahoro would have been described in those terms by whoever was in charge back in the day. Today, we celebrate him as one of our founding fathers. Self-determination is the most noble of human instincts.
I agree with you.
Terrorism is the basis of human instincts. It's completely different, like night and day.
Yes.
So I don't appreciate that conflation. We need to be nuanced in what we are saying. People have the right to demand justice. This is a democracy.
Yes.
Even under a dictatorship, there are those brave souls who lay down their lives to demand their rights. We have fundamental human rights,
yes,
one of which is freedom of assembly. So I also do not appreciate Garba, who's rather patronizing, oh, Yoruba people don't hang out with the bad kids. Mm-hmm. We don't need to be parented. No, that's what it sounds like.
Right.
Like a parent saying, don't hang out with those dodgy ones.
Right.
No, I find it very, very patronizing. We have freedom of association in this country.
Everyone
we have the right to protest peacefully.
Correct.
And what should be done is to listen. What are the issues driving these people? Especially when you look at the fact that we've just talked about a naval base in Kano. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's so many things. It's so obvious. You cannot just be dismissive about it. I'm sorry. And regarding the journalists and the, slap on the wrist by the speaker as well, I see nothing wrong as far as metrics go. The number of bills sponsored, your efficiency in your oversight. I don't know, what else do they do? Mm-hmm. You're a public servant. I must stress, servant. You work for the public. So you must be accountable to the public. The media is also working for the public and letting the public, the electorate know, this is who you have sent there. This is how they have performed for you. What's wrong with that?
Very well
I
said,
remember now, he called it uninspired journalism, whatever that means.
Rufai, what is your take on Garba Shewu's comment when he said that the Yoruba agitators will not be taken seriously because they associated themselves with IPOB?
I mean, I don't take his take seriously. I'm sorry to say that. There are pertinent issues on ground we need to solve. I don't take his take seriously. You see, we need to be honest with ourselves in this country. We can't keep deceiving ourselves. You see, it's the deceit and the pushing the evil day away is what is causing all the problem. Let us talk. That's what I keep saying every time. You can't say, oh, why are we having agitations? And I keep saying, you see, the agitations of the Igbo is not about Nnamdi Kanu. Why is it that we still say that the civil war is not over yet? Why is it that in 2004, a certain Rafu Wazurike, when he found the embers of this agitation, things started up again? Because injustices have been done and you have not solved the problem. And that's it. It's as simple as ABC. So if you don't solve the problem and you think it can go away, the problem will not go away. So that's why I don't buy his take on this. People will protest. The Yoruba nation to feel agitated. The question we should ask Garba is, what caused the protest of the Yoruba nation? When they were killing people in the Gogon, what did he say about it? When they were destroying people's homes in the Gogon, that Sunday Igboho and the likes were shouting, what did he say? What solution has been brought to the problem in the Gogon?
We need solution.
And the lawmaker, I don't take those ones seriously too. At a time where a country is in crisis, security crisis, people can afford to go on 9 weeks holiday. Doesn't that speak volumes about them? Then somebody comes back and says we are not doing inspiring journalism. But when it's election time, they want to make media appearance. They know us that time. They call us. They come on air and come and talk. But now they are teaching us how to do our job. But when they are vying for that position, they will sit down maybe in front of Dr. Abati and say, Dr. Abati, you're a fantastic journalist. You've been doing this for over 40 years. They know us then, no? But all of a sudden, we are not doing inspired journalism. Why is it that any time journalists try to say things as they are, then they attack us? You see, we are not against, we just want a better nation. Edmund Burke calls us the fourth estate of the realm. We are the balancer in society. And we report the narrative we see. Just like somebody say, take off reports about bandit attack from the news. Bandit attack should stop. If there's no bandit attack, we're going to report it.
Exactly. We'll take another story. President Muhammadu Buhari's announcement that about 8 million individuals are currently benefiting under the conditional cash transfer program has garnered mixed reactions on social media. The conditional cash transfer program, which is established to benefit poor and vulnerable Nigerians, comes with a stipend of 5,000 Naira and is paid monthly to the most vulnerable households in the country. The president had made the announcement at the opening ceremony of the 14th Annual Banking and Finance Conference of Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria on Tuesday. The president also said 1.6 million households are currently receiving a bi-monthly stipend of 10,000 Naira from his government, among other initiatives. Let's take a Twitter reaction from a user called Aqualife. He wrote, "Can Buhari's household survive on 5,000 Naira daily? If your government can give so much to support cow ranching that are private businesses in Nigeria, Buhari, you can do more. Increase the money and let it go round while you are still around. Don't allow someone else take your shine." I kind of like his poetic way of writing, this user. But that is the outrage. But I mean, 5,000 Naira monthly, it is but a little bit too small. Tundu.
I was thinking, I can't imagine the kind of poverty that 5,000 Naira a month would actually relieve. Does it exist? I might be naive here because I'm not entirely sure that can actually help anybody. But you see, this whole idea of the CCTs, the conditional cash transfers, has been criticized from different angles. The amount does seem so paltry. The fact that we don't know who this money is going to, and transparency is a hallmark of a democracy. We're told that because these are unbanked people, the poorest of the poor, they have to have cash. I don't buy that. It seems somewhat medieval to me in this day and age to be handing over cash. Small amount, the manner in which it's done, we have ghost workers all over this country. Do we not also have ghost beneficiaries? So I'm not sold on this as a poverty alleviation scheme. I'm sorry, I'm not.
I don't think anybody is. Dr. Abati?
Well, this is part of the National Social Investment Program, NISP, of the administration. And we're told that the National Social Register that was compiled contains about 32.6 million, persons, and that over 32 billion or thereabouts has been spent by the Nigerian government. But when this was initiated under the NSIP, between the Office of the Vice President and the Federal Ministry on Humanitarian Services and Disaster Management, Nigerians raised a lot of concern. One, about the integrity of the register itself, because there were allegations. We even have an office for the payment of this National Office for Conditional Cash Transfer. There were complaints about the composition of that register and the lopsidedness of it and the lack of, equity in terms of that register. But after a while, it was suspended. Now, it was revived in August 23, 2021. And the excuse that was given was that they had to digitize the payment systems. They also needed to strengthen their systems to ensure equity and accountability. So we will assume that in that regard, what they've tried to do is to address the initial concerns raised by Nigerians about a year ago. But those issues still remain. If you say, okay, 5,000 Naira per month for a household, 1.6 million households were told, translating into 8 million, yes, persons taking advantage of it. Well, 5,000 Naira, you say, is too small. But were we not in the same country when one minister who has now been turned adrift said, with 3,000 Naira, you could survive in a certain part of the country.
How?
I remember that.
So, I mean, and if you look at inflation rate, it looks like something small. But this administration is claiming that this COVID-19 stimulus, this social investment, is one of its major achievements. And along with it, the president at that banking conference listed other achievements in terms of what has been done for smallholder farmers and how government has shown great commitment to small and medium-scale enterprises. But I think what they need to focus on is the issue about transparency. That register should be put out there, because sometimes some people will tell you they don't even know who the person who is benefiting from it is. Okay, so we need that transparency, we need that accountability, and I think that the office that is in charge should be keeping proper records.
Absolutely.
Because tomorrow, somebody may raise questions and say, this humongous amount of money that has been spent, we need a proper account. No snake should swallow the papers. And there should be no fire incident in that office. So while we, provide the necessary controls now, we should also look towards the future. But as an idea, as a principle, taking care of the Nigerian people, providing support, I don't think anybody can fault that.
All right, a quick comment.
So a quick comment, Audrey. I have a question to ask. Why is it that it is only our conditional cash transfer that does not bring people out of poverty? Bolsa Familia in Brazil brought a lot of people out of poverty. Why is it that our conditional cash transfer, 5 years down the line, have not brought people over poverty? And I put this challenge out there. If our conditional cash transfer have brought people out of poverty, release the data, release the names.
Very, very well said, Rufai. Very well said. We'll take our final story. Ibrahim Liman, Controller General of the Federal Fire Service, has come under fire on social media for saying Nigeria will support the Democratic Republic of Congo in establishing a national fire service during a courtesy visit to the Nigeria Correctional Service in Taraba State on Wednesday. The Controller General said the Democratic Republic of Congo had requested for the assistance of Nigeria's fire service because of the organization's capacity as the most qualified and second best fire responders in Africa. Well, some Nigerians reacting to the Controller General's comment disagreed with his claims while suggesting that the Federal Fire Service does not have enough fighting equipment and personnel or the capacity to train the DRC. Let's take some reactions. One from a Twitter user, he wrote, like seriously, charity begins at home. Does Nigeria have a walkable fire service? Another person wrote, maybe they will teach them the strategy of no water in the tanks during the emergency. Tunju, over to you.
Well, you know that saying, those who can't do, teach. Maybe this is one of those ones, I don't know. But I think that the problem might not be that they don't have any kind of expertise to share. The problem might just be that they're hamstrung by a lack of funding, same as a lot of other organizations in this country. Occasionally, I must say, I do hear that the fire service came to the rescue of some person, some home, some building, but for every one of those stories, there are dozens of others where you heard they don't have any water, there's no fuel in the truck.
But that is
see all those market fires.
Everywhere.
Yeah, so that is that's most of the time. It's rare that you actually hear, oh, thank God for the fire service. It's a rarity.
Right.
So maybe they have the expertise, but just not the equipment, and they're just being failed, like the rest of us are across the board.
Well, the Nigeria Fire Service was established in 1901. So it's been there for over 100 years. So it's surprising to hear from Mr. Ibrahim Liman that this fire service is the most capable and the most effective in terms of response, or the second most effective.
Second best.
Yes.
In Africa.
In terms of responses to fire incidents in Africa. That means that if that is true, then generally Africa is in trouble. And you were very right in your introduction to say that the Controller General of the Nigeria Fire Service is under fire. I hope the fire service will go to his rescue, and make sure that he survives the fire. Because look at it. What we know the fire service for after its 100 years of existence is its inefficiency. So many incidents. It's not just that the fire service will arrive late. They probably will not have water. They will not have the right equipment.
Or they'll use jerry cans to put water in.
Or we had one ridiculous incident at, is it Balogun Market? Here in Lagos, where fire servicemen were carrying water in jerry cans.
Yes, and
you know,
bowls.
so that does not look, encouraging. But now DRC wants the fire service to come there. Well, isn't that a typical Nigerian story? We give to others what we do not have at home.
Yep.
You will be surprised. This same Nigerian fire service will go to Democratic Republic of Congo, and they may do well there and win medals.
I won't be
The same thing that they cannot
Well, I hope
do
so.
here at home.
Well said.
That's
Dr.
part of the Nigerian story.
Your final take on
You know,
this.
there's a Yoruba adage that says, if somebody says they'll give you a cloth to wear, check what they're wearing.
Right, very good. Well, before we end What's Trending, we at HRISE News are sad to report on the passing of one of our most hardworking producers, Oluwaseun Oluwagbemi, who died on Saturday, September 11th. He was the producer of my What's Trending segment and was loved by all of us in the most charming way. And with the biggest of all smiles, Seun's selfless contribution to the cause of our organization was admired by management, staff and crew, and his kindness was felt by everyone he came across. Seun was 24 years old, and is survived by his parents and 4 sisters. May his sweet, gentle soul rest in peace. That's all I have for you on What's Trending.
The Oluwagbemi family. Really saddened. Thank you, Oje.
Thank you.